Welcome to Flamp Flamp Sports. My name is Richard Harris. And let's talk sports. Welcome to Flamp Flamp Sports. My name is Richard Harris. Yes, it has been a while since I've blogged. I've had so much to say, just no one to listen to what I have to say. So I just figured tonight, dust off old dulcet tones and spit some fire if we can. Recently, ESPN fired a ton of its talents. From Ed Werder, Danny Cannell. And I've talked about in years past how ESPN, NFL Network have made football year-round talk for everybody because football season doesn't end with the Super Bowl anymore. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's the one program that ESPN and the one topic that ESPN keeps alive to the point where they push baseball practically off their network, to the point where they don't even cover hockey. They have Barry Melrose, and that's it. And then comes the NFL draft, which they talk about for months and months and months. Mel Kiper, Todd McShay. Two guys who basically evaluate tape, go to games, watch games live, supposedly have a pulse on what teams want, what athletes should be drafted, etc., etc. ESPN is not the only network that does that. The NFL Network does that. Mike Mayock and all their pundits that they have with their mock drafts. Everybody's got a mock draft. Well, long time, the NFL GMs decided they don't care about what the ESPN people think, the NFL Network people think, the Fox people think, the CBS people think, the Monday Morning Quarterback people think, the whoever. As everybody's mock draft was obliterated, incinerated, decimated, set afire, torn to shreds, and you just sat back at home tonight and just watched the draft as a fan and then evaluated what you saw. Nobody in a million years thought that the Chicago Bears would take Trubisky, number 2. Trubisky is a 13-game starter in college. And for him to be traded for in a draft over a guy who won the national championship, who played in the national championship the year before, and was the best player in the field both times, is mind-blowing to me. Then a guy like Patrick Mahomes II can go ahead of that same person. Blows my mind. When every pundit and their cousin is saying this is going to be the draft of defense, there is so much defensive back talent, so much defensive line talent, that offensive players are going to have an interesting time getting picked in the first round. And when 7 of the first 10 picks are offensive players. When a school like Alabama, who trots out first rounders, has players falling in drafts because teams are trying to find that once-in-a-lifetime diamond in the rough. Explains why so many teams are where they are and why the Patriots, Steelers, Seahawks in recent years, the Packers in recent years, are always playing in the playoffs because teams draft players that somehow, some way, don't fit. And to me, the magical thing that happened is that what happened last year with Dak Prescott is such an aberration that it blows my mind to think that people might actually start thinking that's the norm. And what I'm trying to refer to is how guys in college who weren't big winners in college, who weren't outstanding in college, somehow, some way, find their way on NFL rosters and become star players. The joke, of course, is Tom Brady, of course, being a sixth-rounder, and he's the greatest quarterback to ever live. And now Dak Prescott last year, fourth-rounder, wasn't expected to do anything but carry a clipboard, wins the NFL Offensive Player of the Year. The draft is not an exact science like it should be. We understand in the NBA draft that, like, you put Shaquille O'Neal on a basketball team that's got good shooters, that's got somebody who can drive to the basket, he's going to be a force in the league. So while in college his teams may not have been great, you just knew that you put better talent around him, he would be great. But then again, Michael Jordan in college, yeah, he won a championship his first year, not because of him. His second year, they were knocked out of the tournament by Steve Alford in Indiana, but nobody thought or foresaw that he would become the greatest player to ever live, because they said he couldn't shoot a jump shot. And now we have the draft. The reason why defensive players are always picked more prevalently than the offensive players are is that the offensive players have to do something. Defensive players have roles to fill. You draft a defensive tackle, you draft a nose guard who can occupy linemen so the linebackers can make plays. You draft defensive backs because you say you have one job, and your job is to make sure the guy that you're covering doesn't beat you. Simple. Their jobs are so much more simpler than the offensive player's job, because the offensive player's job, they have to score the touchdowns. So a quarterback has to learn 100 and something plays and formations and understand and decipher defenses. A running back, he has to understand the plays. He's got to run the football. He's got to be able to not fumble. He's got to be able to pick up pass protections. A wide receiver's got to do the same thing. He's got to block. He's got to be able to catch the football in traffic. He's got to be able to catch the football going deep. He's got to catch the football going across the middle. The point is, offensive players have so much to do. Linemen have to know how to block, run, pass. They have to be able to get downfield and block downfield. They have so many little things that makes it difficult. And that's why it's easier to draft a defender than an offender. But I guarantee you tonight, many GMs are sitting at home. In fact, I was just watching ESPN, and Bruce Arians is still up. And it's after 1 a.m. in Philadelphia, because everyone has to revamp their boards because so many players were taken as reach players as opposed to guarantees. Yes, everyone predicted that Leonard Fournette would go to Jacksonville. It happened. Everyone thought that Solomon would go to the Niners, and it happened. But these other teams making trades, making moves to get quarterbacks for the future, dropped so many players that the second round is going to be more exciting than it's ever been. Now you ask who had the best draft. No question the 49ers had the best draft because they got two sensational defensive players who are going to be able to play right away. Cleveland had a great draft. They got some defensive players who are going to be able to play right away. And to get that tight end, sealed the deal. The Jets, amazing draft so far. Just one pick, but they got the future Ronnie Lott of the NFL, the future Ed Reed of the NFL. The Giants got the player that I wanted them to draft. Hopefully he won't let me down, but I said earlier in the day, that Ingram is the guy. That offense is going to be scary. Now they got to draft some defense. They got to get a linebacker who can cover and who can do well on the run. And they'll be fine. The Redskins, great draft, getting Allen. Cowboys got a pass rusher. Panthers got McCaffrey. I mean, certain teams, right now, everyone's got high grades. No one's gotten an F. The Bears might be the only team that people are wondering about because you just signed Mike Glennon. But with the young running back they got, they have no receivers, although he got hurt last year. Hopefully he'll be okay this year. They lost Jeffries. And there's some teams that didn't even get the draft yet. So, the Rams, the Patriots, the Seahawks, they're yet to join in the fray. But for me, it's good to see that people are evaluating everybody and they're going for what they feel they need and not for what a pundit service tells them to go for. But that's just one man's opinion. We look forward to the weekend.